right, welcome everybody to the live Q&A. My name is Dr. Cathleen King, and I'm the founder of the Primal Trust Academy and Community. And I'm here today to answer questions and to give you guys some guidance for those that are looking for tools and tricks to help with your healing process. And usually people have lots of different questions like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I heal? What can I do to help myself heal? What is brain retraining? What's your program? How does it work differently from others? Those are all questions that I'm here to answer. And I will just get started. I see a few questions in the chat box. And if you want to ask a question, just go ahead and raise. There's a little button at the bottom of your screen that says reactions. It's a little smiley face with a plus. If you click that, it'll raise your hand and it will put your name up in the corner of my screen so I know that you have a question. Or you can ask questions in the chat box if you don't want to be seen or anything like that. I'm going to be answering the hand raising questions primarily, but maybe some of the other mentors that are in the call can help with the chat box as well. I'm going to start with a couple of the questions that came in while you guys were waiting. So one of the questions was, I'm getting access to physical calming. Okay, someone asked about the access of my course. I think that's what it is. Can you buy 1 month and access my classes? Yes. So my new process is that I have tried to make it as accessible for everybody. And I think it's a really good program. And so my guess is that people will stick around and it will be worth it on my end. But all of my programs, you can access them, you can cancel anytime. So you could come in, join for a month, learn what you want, and you could leave. But I'll just tell you this, I've had a couple hundred people sign up. I've only had 2 people cancel. So we've got a 99% retention rate because what we've got inside is outstanding. But yes, you're welcome to come in and cancel anytime. And then there was another question in the chat box before I get to those of you who've raised your hand. Let's see, I'm considering doing the Primal Trust monthly course. Have been ill with chronic fatigue for 10 years. And part of me thinks I need to find a secret to regaining health. And part of me thinks I need to just stop focusing on health and just not do the course. What do you think? That is such a good question. Now, the challenge with your question is, how do you get yourself to stop focusing on your health? And that is what Primal Trust is for. It's to help lift your consciousness out of the illness focus that has been dominating your brain state. And in that new focus, yes, you're learning, regulation stuff, but more importantly, you're getting in touch with a new brain state that has nothing to do with the illness. And that new brain state is what runs your body. So, I'm not going to say, oh, you need Primal Trust to do that. But that is what it's for. It's not about focusing on the illness anymore. It's about getting yourself living your values despite how you feel. And then the irony is that you start to feel better. Someone asked, having a hard time figuring out what's available. On my website, I have a membership page. It describes everything in there. I have a level 1 course, which is just brain retraining basics, nervous system tools. I have a level 2 course, which is this in-depth Primal Trust mentorship. And we have level 3 material. All of it is in the membership. So if it's confusing, everything is part of what you get. You're getting group coaching, you're getting study group access, you're getting recorded classes, you're getting live classes, you're getting advanced classes, access to one-on-one mentors, tons and tons of stuff. So it makes more sense when you get into it. And at the end, I can explain a little bit more of the specifics of what's in the community, but I want to answer some more questions first. Okay, I will start with Kristen and then Emma. Kristen, happy to have you here. What's your question?
Hi there. My question is related to sort of readiness. So I have been doing DNRS for 9 months with incredible results. It's just been great. And I am by no means think that my DNRS journey is finished, right? Like I'm still seeing improvement. I still have goals. I'm still doing that practice daily and appreciate it and I think there's room for me to continue growing there. And also I kind of through this journey, right, I'm realizing that there's sort of deeper things I want to work on with myself and, really tap into a sort of a higher level, if you will, of my own self. And I know that's a lot of what you've done and what you do. And I've looked into your materials and stuff. So, you know, for me, as I look at your programs, I'm kind of like, okay, well, it seems like level 2 would be the starting place for me. But how do I know when I'm ready to sort of like add something on top of DNRS, right? Like I said, I don't feel like I'm ready to say I'm done. There's nothing left for me there. There's still things for me there, but I also think there's great stuff for me here and learning from you. And so I wonder, like, how do I know it's the right time to add that in?
Yeah, it's a really good question. First of all, your DNRS basics, you can keep those with you. In fact, we weave those into level 2. So it's not like, I mean, I still do brain retraining. I still do my nervous system tools, but for you, my question would be the primal trust, the level 2 work is for those that are ready to like really work on their inner work, that what set them up in the first place, getting back in touch with who they are. And it's more of a lifestyle process. My mentorship, the level 2 mentorship is a particular roadmap that you actually keep taking throughout your whole life. It's like a spiral pattern versus like a beginning and an end. So I take you through this process that's really modeled a lot after the archetypal hero's journey by Joseph Campbell. And it's a process of like, okay, I've got these tools from level 1. I've got DNRS, or maybe you've done my Creating Calm or Gupta or something else. I've got these tools. I'm learning how to self-regulate, but there's still stuff. And there's this inner world that isn't addressed by brain retraining because that's not what it was intended for. It's, I'm ready to go into this rich, deep transformational journey. And it's a roadmap that you continue with in your life, in your lifestyle of deepening who you are, integrating your past and getting more and more clear of your purpose. And in that alignment, ironically, the patterning of illness and trauma starts to shift and fall away, even for a lot of people. And for some people, they learn to take their journey while they maybe feel off, but it doesn't cripple them anymore because they have a more important purpose that they're learning how to live and have that run their brain state. So, you know, if you've got a good background, you're absolutely ready for level 2. It's just a matter, is that calling for you? I mean, the transformational alchemy journey is not for everybody. Some people just want to get back into their life. My brain is better and I'm just going to let my inner world be what it is. And that's okay too. It's kind of a calling, and you'll know. I mean, you'll just know like that path is for me. So there's not a right or a wrong answer on that one.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. And you don't think it's like too much? It's not overwhelming to someone, right? It's not. There's no. It sounds like there's no conflicts, which is good. It's all in a.
So here's what I'd say. This is a good question. So in my mentorship, I give you guys a lot of opportunity for learning. Now, some personalities are like, oh my gosh, I need to learn all of this. I need to do all the homework. I need to do all the practices, or else I'm not doing it all. I give a lot of opportunity because sometimes the brain needs a bone to chew on, so to speak. Like you need sort of processes to like engage your mind in that have not to do with just your health anymore. It's about something else, and moving that addictive pattern from one focus to another. I give processes to help you do that. Now, others, they go through my process and I say, you know what, just listen and let a transmission come in, and that's enough. For you, that might be enough. Some people go through one time and they just kind of listen and they pick a process like, okay, I really love this process of discovering my values. I'm going to work on that. And they let some of the other ones go. So it's very individualized. Some people do need to like, oh, I want to do all these practices because their brain needs a bone to chew on. And if it's not that, it's going to be something about their health. And so it just kind of depends on you, but you can go through superficially, you can go through in a deep dive, you can go through as just an energetic transmission. It's really variable for different people.
Thank you.
Yeah, really great questions. Thank you guys for answering the questions in the chat box. I really appreciate it. Okay, Emma, hi.
Hi, Kat. Lovely to talk to you today. My question is sort of similar in a way, but I have done your Creating Calm course a few months ago, and I'm only really getting around to implementing it now. My main issue is chronic fatigue, and due to long COVID for the last year and a half. So I'm pretty good at doing, I know there's several different modalities in it, and I'm pretty good at doing vagus nerve type things and somatic type things, and even a bit of energy medicine. But when it comes to the brain retraining, I did do DNRS as well last year, and I dipped in and out of it. When it comes to the brain retraining, I'm able to visualize, and I think you said before somewhere that maybe people don't really like to visualize, and I'm able to visualize, but there's no emotion attached to it. I'm just seeing pictures, kind of. And I'm wondering, does that mean I'm not ready for the brain retraining? Should I take a step back and focus on the other modalities? Or should I continue to maybe just do the visualizations and the emotions might come, or I should do some other work first, maybe? I just wondered what your thoughts were.
When you're not getting in touch with emotions, usually it's because on some level, you're not hitting your core drive in that visualization. And one of the things that I teach in my level 2 Primal Trust is how to make your brain retraining program specific to you, your value system, your true self, so that what you're visualizing is hitting like your most core essence of what matters. A lot of times I see in brain retraining programs, people just visualize all this random stuff, vacations and this and that, and it elevates their emotional space and it works for them. But other people, they kind of have like a deeper aspect to them where like, I need to visualize what really freaking matters to me and what my purpose is. And so for you, I definitely think that you need to be doing brain retraining with the COVID and the way the brain works and all that. We just have to find what is going to light you up. And that's part of the level 2 work, which is figuring out who you are and what matters and focusing on visualizing that and developing those emotional pathways. You may also have parts in you that are resisting your ability to emotionally elevate and go for things that they don't think is possible for you. So that's the second piece. And that would be, we start to get into that around class 5 in the level 2 Primal Trust, the parts that have unconscious resistance patterns that said, I'm going to numb you out because I don't know if you can get that. And I don't want you to be disappointed. And you start to learn how to work with these unconscious aspects that are suppressing your emotional drive because they're afraid of disappointment or rejection or whatever. It's part of our brainstem programming. So that would mean, you'd go through level 2, try to get very specific about what matters. And if you're still, even if you're not feeling emotion, you're getting specific and then starting to do more of that deeper inner work of like, what's blocking me from my bliss here and why, and how can I reframe, how can you move past some of those unconscious blocks so that these parts are on board with you going for your bliss, even if it never happens, just for the sake of a experience. And that's like the level 2 part of this issue that I see with people like you. And I, sometimes even for me, like there have been things that are easy for me to get emotionally elevated about. And there are things that are harder, like relationship, and like expecting like the best thing in the future with relationship was always a hard one for me because I had parts that expected it won't work out. So I don't want to go there. And I've had to really work on getting emotional elevation in that category and working with that unconscious block.
Thank you. That's really interesting. You pretty much described me. I think, I think there's a lot of resistance there. And I think I could definitely say there's probably about 20 years of emotional resistance or just suppression. So that's really interesting. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for the question. Really good. Okay, Joy Marie. What a wonderful name.
Thank you. Hi. I've been doing DNS for just a little over a year, and I really relate to what you said about the hero's journey and finding your purpose. But I had a question about I have not done Creating Calm, and I definitely had issues with being calm. I mean, I've been doing so much better over the last year with DNRS. But I still get that really, to me, it's pretty, well, I get that fight or flight thing. That's really, um, well, it's there. But anyway, so is the Creating Calm course self-directed, and how, is that something I should do before I would join the class that starts next week?
If you already have DNRS background, you're totally fine to go right into level 2. In level 2, I actually go over a lot of the basics of level 1. In it, it's interwoven, but what I usually recommend for people who don't have any experience, I want them to know what limbic system impairment is before they go into level 2. I want them to have some kind of like, oh, this is what brain retraining is, and this is what's like an awareness, because I use these, like, they need to have some type of an understanding, because level 2 is just so much more than that. So you'd be totally fine to go into level 2, even though you haven't created your calm, if you will. Yeah, I think you'd be fine. And those classes are there. Like the Creating Calm classes are 4 classes. You could watch them while you're doing level 2. They're just a little add-on. And I mean, everything is available at all times. You can go all over the place. So yeah, you get it all.
And how many people are in the class?
So, well, you mean in the live classes or the,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It depends. I mean, this is the funny thing. So I've got about 200 people in the community, and in a live class, I'd say we have an average of 20 to 35 that show up. So they're
Okay.
smaller. And that's okay. In the live mentorship, I expect more will show up, but a lot of people prefer the recorded option because that's just where their training zone is.
Right.
And we have so many live classes that I think it spreads it out as well. I mean, I mean, every week we've got 4 to 5 live classes going. So plus study groups where those are also split into small intimate groups. So you'll get intimate, you'll get large, it's all over the place.
Okay, so if you do the class, and I mean, you can do both live and watch.
Yeah. And then a lot of people do because they have work and things like that. So.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much. That's helpful. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you. Hi, Anya. Wait, how did I say your name? Anya?
Yeah, I'm just unmuting. No, that's right. Hi.
Hello.
So my question is, last year I had a bit of a mother load because in the same year my thyroid packed in, but now it's back on track, which is wonderful. My dad died, and sort of everything came out of the woodwork. I had a bad reaction to ADHD medication, and I was diagnosed with autism 6 months before. So everything went boom. And I have a background in brain retraining, and I had to use a lot of that. And I thought I was in the clear, but I guess I keep getting silly viruses like vertigo type stuff. And then I'll have, I'll think, oh, I've got up to an hour now. So I guess I feel that I am level 2. And then I'm like, well, am I being indulgent because I do, I've got a brain that loves to learn, and am I just going for another, it chimes with me what you're saying about, what is that step beyond? Because I've got work offers, I feel very positive in my mental health. Somatically, I still think there's some learning, and I've had some brilliant post-diagnostic support with the autism. So now I really understand a lot of stuff that I had no idea was impacting. But it just feels like, where would I be on your roadmap, between 2 and 3? So that or whether I should just go, well, maybe I'm okay. So I'm very kind of, I just literally got over a virus a week ago, but I've had quite a few of them sequentially. So it's just been one of those things.
Yeah, that's a good question. I go through my mentorship myself every single time. Because it's a way of life. It's a focus. It's a consciousness that I want to deepen. So it's not like you go from 1 to 2 to 3 and you stay in 3. Sometimes shit hits the fan and I'm back at 1. We just had COVID a couple months ago. I was doing my brain retraining around the clock. Okay. So you're not like, it's not a linear journey. Primal Trust for someone like you, I will say that a lot of people going in and they have a secret drive to fix themselves, a secret, that's why they're there. And I'm like, yeah, I know you're here to heal and fix this, but that's really not why you're here. There's another reason. And the whole work is a deep, deep inner journey. It's a whole expansion journey. And yes, it affects the body as a great side effect, but that is not at all why I teach it. And it's just not. I want people to feel liberation in their consciousness of who they are and clarity of purpose and the ability to know that they are imperturbable, even if they get a virus again, or they have a death in their family or whatever, that your nervous system can feel all of its feels and yet you're still okay. And that's a particular patterning in your consciousness that I'm working on creating. So again, you're another person where I don't think there's a wrong answer. It's just, is this in resonance? Is this a next step for just my soul advancement, and then you just sit with that, and it's either, yes, I need this, or no, I want to go do that. And either is okay. And maybe you'll come back around if you say no. And, oh yeah, maybe I do want a deeper mentoring process for a little while, or maybe I want to check out some of the level 3 classes. I mean, I've made it where everything is available, like level 3 you can join in and do whatever, as long as you've got some background that makes, well, typically with level 3, there's a couple of classes where I like you to get through at least class 5 of level 2, because there's a lot of languaging that won't make any sense, and particular consciousness focus points that are important to me to be doing some of the level 3 work. But I mean, Primal Trust it's a beautiful, fun, delicious process. Most people enjoy it. And, it's, I think of it as just expansive learning versus fixing yourself.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you. Felgany says, yummiest process I ever did. Felgany is our main lead mentor in the community and the forum, the lead forum guide. So she's here helping us. And I think we have Yvonne in here too, who's also one of the guides in our community and offers classes as well. So we've got a couple great people here helping you guys out with questions. All right, so we've gotten through the hand raises. Anybody else have a question that's on the call today? Okay, I'll read this one. So there's a question in the chat box. It says it might be provocative. I like provocative questions. All right, so the question is, but why not just undergo standard psychoanalysis to rebuild primal trust? The main element that seems missing here is the first attachment relationship between a therapist and client. I have difficulties to see how standardized brain attunement meditation for a group could replace personal attention from a therapist. I'm not a therapist myself, by the way, so it's an honest question. And it's a wonderful question. I did parts work and attachment work for years with a therapist. Years. It was years. It was wonderful, and I learned a lot. And some people, it can be great. And I think the ideal world is that you have somebody that you are co-regulating with in a one-on-one setting, whether it's a therapist, a mentor, a somatic experiencing practitioner, somebody, and you're doing a community process. That's the ideal. Not everybody can afford that. And I also went through that process one-on-one, and I saw that what was missing, it was the consciousness of my therapist in the first place, because I was co-regulating with somebody who was wonderful, and yet their consciousness wasn't lifting me out of my illness identity. It was a support in the illness identity, which was probably the stage that I was at, and it was wonderful. So I'd say to you, first of all, it's a great question. If you can find a mentor, a therapist, a practitioner that has the consciousness that you are striving to find in your healing journey, great. And yet again, it's pricey. So I'm trying my best to give people as much as I can in a setting that works. So that's why we have lots of classes and the small groups and, the brain rewiring attunement that you speak of. So let's go to that second part of the question. My brain rewiring attunements, many of you probably have watched them on YouTube. They're a big part of my level 2 process. They're based on a whole new part of therapy that is emerging, where you're working with your superconscious, and the superconscious is helping to rewire the subconscious patterning. That being said, I am not, just because it's in a group, it's your superconscious higher self that is doing the work on you. I'm just speaking a command. So whether you are one-on-one with me or you're in a group, it's you are doing you. I'm not doing it. The group isn't doing it. And I've had people have absolutely profound experiences, and in a group setting, it's sometimes even more powerful because of something known as the morphogenic field, coined by Rupert Sheldrake. Joe Dispenza speaks about this, and the people who are doing these attunement processes, some people call them a recode. I mean, they're called all sorts of things. There's a field of consciousness that people are in when we're doing the brain rewiring attunements together, a common collective intention that creates a really high resonance that allows your own subconscious to pick up new patterning in a way that maybe you couldn't on your own. So I actually think my group attunements are more powerful than my one-on-one attunements, to be honest. People in here could maybe talk about that who've had my attunements. So it's a really good question. But like I said, in an ideal world, I had a great mentor that was alongside of me in the later part of my journey while I was doing a lot of this work, and I still have a mentor. It's great to be able to have both. I'm trying to provide, everything I can in a way that gets this help to the masses. But yeah, it's a really good question. I hope that answers your question. Just let me know in the chat box. Anybody else have a question? What if you are barely functioning? There was a stage I was barely functioning. I lived in a dark, quiet room. I couldn't handle sound. I couldn't handle light. I had full-time care for my children. I've been there, and a lot of people in this room have been there. If I took a shower, I couldn't move for another couple days. I know what it's like to not have function. And that's actually when I started really working on my brain and making that my priority, and recognizing that despite the sensitivities in my brain, I had to start putting my attention on something health producing and thinking about what I loved. And some people go through my mentorship who are very debilitated. They've done level 1, they're still debilitated, whether they've done DNRS or whatever. And in level 2, they're going through it and finding a new passion despite being debilitated. And in that finding of their new passion, maybe they're bedbound and they learn to do something in their bed with art, or they start listening to music, or they go outside and watch birds for hours a day. There's a passion that can be awakened in any state. And we know this because many people have been bedbound and wheelchair bound and have beautiful, happy lives. So our function is not, it makes it more difficult, but it is not the limitation to your ability to have a joy-filled, purpose-filled life. It does make it more difficult. So I would say that it's recognizing what is within your control and finding what you can do to improve your quality of life despite not functioning much, and finding ways to live your values. And that's the kind of stuff we do in level 2. So hopefully that addresses some of that. Question is, will the 2022 live Primal Trust recordings be available for all subscribers in the mentorship in the future, basically replacing 2021? Probably. I'm still working that out. Probably is my guess. They're going to be there right now for sure. Every time I do my mentorship, my level 2, it's different and expand. This time it's 5 months instead of 3 months. And so I keep progressing it. And yeah, so I probably will be replacing it or just adding it to the library. I don't know about if replacing is the right word, because every mentorship has its, specialness. So I'll probably just add it to that. Right now, the way I have it standing is that the ability to go through it live is just a bonus to people that are founding members of the community. I don't know that I'll be offering that in the future, that adding that live piece to the subscription. So, well, it just depends on the numbers and, how big the community gets. All right. So another question. On one side, there seems to be the idea to not allow your symptoms to hold you back and to follow your heart. Yeah, aren't your symptoms giving you feedback, and shouldn't you be listening to them? That's a good question. We talk about this in Primal Trust. Your symptoms are typically there to help you recognize a need. Now, maybe that need is that you aren't spending time quietly to yourself enough. Maybe that need is you're going against yourself in another way. Symptoms, we tend to think that our symptoms always mean that we can't go do whatever, or we are too sick to do whatever, or we need to limit our life. And that's not always the case. And part of level 2, we work on this inner world and we start to discover why parts of us create the symptoms they do and what need is not being met. And here's the interesting thing with symptoms. When you can really uncover why your subconscious is creating that symptom, and it might say, oh, I need you to schedule a longer lunch break because, I mean, this is, for people who are functioning, because you're not taking enough time to just go and rest during the middle of the day. Once you meet that need, the symptom has no need to be there. And often it will go away. Sometimes it's like, you're not processing any of your emotions. So I'm creating a ton of pain in your back. I need you to feel this emotion that you have towards so-and-so, this anger or this guilt or whatever. You meet that need of feeling and being with yourself, and then the symptom starts to dissipate. So, it's symptoms are brilliant messengers. The problem is that we make stories of them and we give them meanings that might not be the reason why they're there. I don't tell people to just ignore your symptoms. I actually am working on developing a deep inner relationship with yourself, but I am telling you to get in touch with your values and what matters and work on living your purpose while you're starting to integrate your inner world and learn how to create harmony in your body despite symptoms. So yeah, it's a really, really good question. I hope that answers. You can let me know in the chat box if that made any sense. Next question. I've long haul COVID. I was also harmed by anxiety medications. I have a lot of anxiety, depression, OCD. It's hard for me to concentrate and really focus. I know this program will be hard for me, but is it still doable if I can't really visualize or I'm really slow with my thinking? I really need something that works and I really want to heal. So some people go through my program and I tell them who are having a hard time and it's overwhelming to take in that information. And I say, Mike, just show up and listen the best you can. There's a transmission energetically that's happening. I'm teaching your subconscious whether you're trying or not. The processes, do what you can and what you can't, let it go, because Primal Trust is a spiral process. It's a roadmap of 9 classes that I take you through. And it's a roadmap that you repeat. So just because you can't get it the first time around or get all of it the first time around isn't a big deal. I'm giving you guys an algorithm of how to think about your life. And so, some people, I just say, just do what you can. Show up, listen, take it in, and trust that it's enough for you at the stage that you're at. Any other questions about that before I move on? Is the live option only if we subscribe by January 24th, or can we slip in later? The live is not something that you can just join midway. It's a process, meaning now if you've taken Primal Trust before and you're caught up, great, but this process, you can't skip classes. It builds on each other. It will make no sense if you show up in class 5 and you haven't done class 1 through 4. So that's why I've said, you kind of need to take it from the beginning. Now I'm doing an instruction every other week. So it's pretty slow. There's a live Q&A in between the instructions. So it's basically 2 classes a month, but yeah, it's not a program where you can kind of just show up midway. You have to take it sequentially or else it won't build on itself. How do you sign up for the classes? It is on my website at CathleenKing.com, CATHLEEN King.com. There's just one thing that I have, which is a membership. Everything is in that membership. You can pay monthly or you can buy an annual and save 2 months. So that's on the membership. I also have an option where you can purchase the live Primal Trust and have lifetime access, which gives you a year subscription as part of that purchase. That's obviously going to be a higher rate if you want to do that. This $1,500 option that I have right now, I don't know if it'll be available in the future. I'm just going with where my platform is at right now. So I can't promise that one on anything. It just depends on numbers and where we're at and when my next one starts and all of that. Everything is kind of done present moment for me. I have a message from Yvonne to tell my 4-leaf clover story. You guys, some of you probably heard that. My 4-leaf clover story is that I was really debilitated, like one of you were mentioning just now, and I couldn't do anything. And I had 2 kids. And when I decided that I needed to start living and finding purpose, I was laying in the grass one day and feeling completely purposeless and incapable and pathetic, because all I could do was lay in the grass while my kids were playing, and even getting outside was a big deal. And I was laying there trying to be like, well, maybe I can like stretch or something. And I'm like trying to move my body, and I see a 4-leaf clover. I'd never found a 4-leaf clover in my life, and I always wanted to find them. And it was like this hint of like, look, there's something special for you. And so what I started to do is I started to look for 4-leaf clovers while I laid on the grass all day while my kids played all around me, because that's all I could do. And I found hundreds of 4-leaf clovers. That was my first purpose. And it might seem stupid, but at the end of the day, I would go to bed thinking like, I found all these 4-leaf clovers and I felt magical, and it was wonderful. And my kids loved it and I loved it. And it was the stepping stone into finding more purpose, because from there I started to like, well, maybe we could go camping and I could just lay in the campground while the kids did this. And, you know, and my husband at the time took care of them. And then I was like, and that's all I did. I literally like laid on the camp on the ground the whole time, but I went camping and I had a new thing that I could say I did. I went camping, and it just started to build and build. So that was my 4-leaf clover story. That's why I say when you're debilitated, I've been there, and there's something there for you. There's a purpose. You just got to look for it. All right. Any other questions about this? Let me see if there's anything else that maybe I can show you guys. Maybe I'll show you, I'm going to show you just a slide of my, whoops, sorry. Just give you guys something here. All right. I'm going to go over just a couple things from my community in case you're interested. Some of you have probably seen these slides. Okay. First of all, this slide is just talking about brain retraining and what it does for those of you who are new or maybe have been on a brain retraining path, but wanting to know generally what my focus points are with brain retraining. Whoops. So this is a presentation I did recently for another company, but my brain retraining process primarily does 3 things. It works on memories and repatterning your memories to get your hippocampus and your amygdala in a more of a happy relationship. It works on somatic presencing, and it works on true self-awakening. So those are the 3 main components that I'm working on with my process. And I just wanted to show you that just to give you like an outline, like what are we working on? And that's really the level 1 stuff. And I see there's another question. So let me ask that. Where am I missing? Okay, sorry. I'm going to pause here and I'm going to answer this question. Could I risk to start Primal Trust Live now if I didn't ever do any brain retraining? I've only done psychotherapy so far, trauma therapy, I have CFS. Okay. It depends on your personality. If I were you, I would consider coming in and doing my level 1 brain retraining class, and maybe the first 2 classes. And because my Primal Trust, I have an intro class, I have a class 1 that starts beginning of February, and then there's a Q&A. You could probably get through level 1 and start practicing that, and then either catch up real quick on level 2 because it will just started. You could even probably, I mean, literally it's like 3 to 4 hours worth of videos that you could start right now, depending on your personality. If it's like, okay, I've got this brain retraining thing, I think I can implement it, and you're diligent about practicing it, you know, especially as we're getting going, it might work for you. You know, if it doesn't, if it's like, okay, I'm getting into level 2 and she's, you know, talking about parts and inner work and all of that, and it's like too much, then you might pause and just focus on the level 1 work and, you know, catch the recordings and catch up. The point is that you would need to like catch up on the process, to, you know, don't come into level 2 class 5 if you haven't done level 1 through 4. So that's the thing. They are spaced out enough where you could catch up, and it just depends on your personality and what I would call how limbic you are. What I don't want in level 2 is a lot of just focus on like, how do I do brain retraining? How do I do it? I've got, you know, just super symptom focused, because that's really more of a level 1 process. So it just depends on your personality. If like you get started, you implement the process and it makes sense, you might be able to just join just fine. So yeah, that's what I would say. Typically, I recommend that people, I had said people do at least some type of a month of level 1 understanding before coming into level 2, but it really depends on personality. I've had people come into Primal Trust that had no brain retraining and they did just fine because they got it. They were kind of on their A game. They weren't super limbic and, you know, stuck in just constant symptom focus, and they're able to just pick up and go into level 2. Any other questions you guys have? All right, I'm going to stop my screen share there.
I have a quick question. So the classes are every other week.
The instruction and then the Q&As are the in-between weeks. So it's instruction, Q&A, instruction, Q&A. So
Thank you.
I used to do it like every week, like Tuesday, Thursday, and like fire hose people for 3 months.
Right.
And, you know, it's fine, but people requested it being more spaced out. So it is.
Yeah, that's helpful to know. That I like that too. Thank you.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that also helps you catch up if you have just joined and you're kind of doing level 1, you can kind of catch up typically. So yeah, and there's also, as Yvonne said, study groups in between. So you've got like, I mean, the amount of support in this community is outrageous. Like our calendar is, I mean, it's a ton of live help, ton of study groups, you know, and all the recorded. You'll have a lot of support in whatever level you're in. Any other questions before we head out today? Trying to think if there's anything else you might want to know about. I have lots of things I could teach, but I really just wanted to answer your guys' questions today. You know, our process, I probably most of you guys have been to the website. I try to explain as much as I can on the website. My YouTube channel is full of free videos. I put a ton of stuff out there. Instagram, same thing. I just did a whole Instagram today on trauma and brain retraining. So, you know, there's a lot of content that's free. If this, you know, if it still seems like this is too much right now, I do try to have a lot of free resources out there. I have a free 3-day resiliency training on my website you can sign up for as well. So, you know, my goal is to get you guys the resources and the opportunity, and the outcome is up to you. And I hope that helps. I'll probably sign off here unless there's any other questions. Really appreciate all of you showing up and would love to have you involved if it resonates. Okay. Does it help with pain management? It's been only the past 2 months I've been suffering with joint pain. Pain management. So I'm a physical therapist. I have a big background with pain management, chronic pain, and that is regulated in the brain. So when our brain is in a hyper aroused state or an inflamed state, we can have pain signals in our brain. When our inflammation levels are higher up in our body, we can have inflammation in our body. And so, yes, indirectly, brain retraining absolutely helps with chronic pain. Seen it help a ton with a lot of people in the community. And that is because we're doing a method that helps to reduce inflammation in the body by decreasing resistance, and B, improve the processing within the brain that might be sending improper signals into the body of pain, because a lot of times pain is a processing issue in the brain. So yeah, brain retraining is excellent for pain. Another question, I'm in Europe, and so some classes are a bit late. Are live classes like the Grief Circle available later? So we have something called a Grief Circle in our community that meets a couple of times a month, which is just a safe container for processing. That's a level 2 and a level 3 process. The classes are all different times on the calendar. They're going to range from 8 a.m. Pacific to 4 p.m. Pacific. So they're mixed. My level 2 classes are primarily 8 or 10 a.m. Pacific time. Okay. And yes, everything's recorded other than the Grief Circle. So you can always watch recordings. We've got a massive video library, like 150, 200 hours of recordings on lots of topics. So there's, yeah, you can watch videos to your heart's content. Okay, I think that's about it. Let's see any other questions. So I will stop the recording. Thank you guys for listening. And again, just feel free to reach out with any questions you have later.